A girl trapped by overprotective parents risks everything by hiding her boyfriend in plain sight, until one medical test exposes a secret that shatters their world. From the day Bella was born, her parents decided the world was not safe enough for her, so they wrapped her life in rules, tight, unbending rules, believing that love meant control and safety meant obedience. Every morning followed the same pattern. Wake up at the exact time. Pray. Eat. Dress. No dilas. No questions. Her father believed discipline was the strongest form of love. To him, a child was like soft clay. Leave it unattended, and it would crack or lose its shape. Her mother agreed, though she said little. She watched more than she spoke, watched every movement, listened to every sound. Bella's life was measured in minutes. She was driven to school at the same time every day, dropped off at the same gate, with the same warning, go straight to class. When school closed, she had exactly 15 minutes to return home. Not 16, not 14, 15. If she arrived even 5 minutes late, her mother's eyes would search her face like a judge searching for guilt. At home, there were no locked doors because privacy was considered dangerous. Every drawer, every notebook, every silence was inspected. Her phone was checked. Her bags were searched. Even her thoughts felt watched. Slowly, Bella learned an important lesson. It was safer to say nothing. She was not beaten. She was not starved. She was loved, but in a way that felt heavy, like air that was too thick to breathe. Her parents believed the outside world was full of traps, especially boys. Boys, they said, were distractions. Boys were danger. Boys were the beginning of regret. So Bella stayed quiet. She followed rules. She became careful. Inside, however, something was shrinking. While other children learned how to choose, how to speak, how to trust their own feelings, Bella learned how to obey. She learned how to walk straight, talk softly, and disappear into routines. Sometimes at night, when the house was silent and the lights were off, Bella stared at the ceiling and wondered, is this really what love is supposed to feel like? That thought scared her, so she pushed it away. Her parents looked at their daughter and felt proud. She was polite. She was calm. She caused no trouble. To them, the walls they built were strong and perfect. But walls do not just keep danger out. They also keep voices in. And Bella was growing up inside a life that looked safe on the outside, but felt like a cage on the inside. School was supposed to feel like freedom. For Bella, it was the only place where her parents' eyes could not follow every step. But even there, freedom stayed just out of reach. Every morning, she walked into the school compound with her back straight and her eyes lowered. Around her, laughter floated easily through the air. Girls gathered in small circles, sharing secrets, fixing each other's hair, whispering about weekend plans. Boys leaned against walls, joking loudly, careless and confident. Life seemed to move freely around her. Like a river she was never allowed to touch. Bella sat alone most days. During break time, she opened her lunch quietly while others shared food, exchanged smiles, and passed notes under the table. She watched girls laugh as they teased one another about crushes and stolen glances. Some spoke boldly about holding hands behind the classroom or sneaking phone calls late at night. Bella listened without speaking, her hands folded neatly on her lap. Sometimes the whispers were not kind. "Daddy's girl," someone would mutter. "Does she even know how to smile?" Another would laugh. They didn't mean to hurt her, or maybe they did. Either way, their words settled deep inside her chest, heavy and cold. Bella pretended not to hear, but every sound reached her. She wondered how it felt to walk home with friends, to stop by the roadside, to laugh without watching the clock. Why did freedom seem so easy for everyone else? When the final bell rang, most students rushed out together, voices rising, footsteps slow and careless. Bella walked alone, always alone. Her steps were quick, measured, almost mechanical. She could already hear her mother's voice asking for the time, her father's eyes checking the clock. 15 minutes. No more. At school, she was surrounded by people. Yet she had never felt more invisible. Sometimes she sat in class and imagined what it would be like to raise her hand without fear, to speak without thinking of rules, to live without rehearsing every move in her head. But the moment passed quickly. Bella had learned not to dream too loudly. Maybe there is something wrong with me, she thought, pressing her book closer to her chest. The other girls carried themselves lightly, like they belonged to the world. Bella carried herself carefully, like someone borrowing space she might be asked to return. She did well in her studies. Teachers praised her discipline. But no one noticed the quiet sadness in her eyes. School showed her a life she was never allowed to touch. And each day she watched it from a distance, her loneliness growing louder than the laughter around her. It began quietly, the way most life-changing moments do. Bella was sitting alone during break, her book open but her mind far away, when someone stopped in front of her desk. She looked up slowly, already preparing herself for another joke, another whisper. Instead, she saw a boy standing there, calm, unsure, almost gentle in the way he held his school bag. "Do you mind if I sit here?" he asked. His voice was soft, not demanding. Bella hesitated. 1,000 rules echoed in her head. Don't talk too much. Don't attract attention. Don't trust boys. But the empty space beside her felt heavier than the fear inside her. She nodded. That was how Chi entered her world. He did not ask many questions. He did not push. He simply sat there, sharing the quiet with her. Over time, small conversations began, about homework, teachers, subjects she liked. When others laughed too loudly near her, Chi didn't join them. When Bella went silent, he didn't force her to speak. For the first time, someone noticed her silence and respected it. Days passed and then weeks. Chi started saving a seat for her. He passed her notes when teachers weren't looking. Nothing dangerous. Just kind words and small jokes that made her smile before she could stop herself. Sometimes, when laughter around them felt sharp and cruel, he would glance at her and smile, as if to say, "You are not alone." And something inside Bella began to change. She started looking forward to school. Not because of lessons, but because someone saw her. Someone waited for her. Someone made her feel normal. Was this what it felt like to be chosen? Bella tried to fight it. She reminded herself of her parents' warnings, of the rules carved into her life since childhood. But loneliness is patient. It waits quietly, and when someone offers warmth, it feels like safety, even if it isn't. He makes me feel like I exist, she thought, and the realization frightened her. One afternoon, as they sat together under the shade of a tree, Chi spoke again, his voice lower this time. "Bella, I like you." He didn't smile. He didn't joke. He simply said it, honest and unguarded. Her heart raced. No one had ever said those words to her before. Bella's hands trembled slightly as she whispered back, "I like you too." In that moment, the world felt larger than her parents' rules. Her chest felt lighter. For the first time, she imagined a life where she could breathe without fear. But every light casts a shadow. Their friendship was innocent yet secret, gentle yet dangerous. It filled the empty spaces her parents' control had left behind, but it also planted a seed, one that would soon grow beyond her ability to hide it. Bella had learned how to live with fear, but falling in love taught her a new kind of it. Every smile she shared with Chi at school came with a quiet warning in her mind. Every note he slipped into her book felt like both a gift and a risk. She wanted to hold on to the happiness he gave her, yet she knew it existed only within the narrow walls of the classroom. Outside school, her life was still locked. When the final bell rang, Chi walked slowly, hoping for a few extra seconds with her. Bella never did. She packed her bag quickly and left without looking back. She could already feel her father's eyes measuring time, her mother listening for footsteps. Love had a clock in Bella's world, and it was always running out. Sometimes Chi waited at the school gate, standing a little to the side, pretending not to watch. Bella saw him, but she kept walking. Her heart begged her to stop, but her feet obeyed the rules. To her parents, any delay was suspicious. Any smile unexplained was dangerous. She could never meet him after school. She could never talk on the phone. She could never say, "I'm going out with friends." Her parents' protection followed her like a shadow, heavy and unescapable. They checked her bags. They watched her expressions. Even joy felt risky. Bella learned to hide happiness the way others hid pain. At night, she lay awake, replaying small moments. Chee's smile, his voice saying her name softly, the way he listened. Those memories were all she had. The cage around her life was strong, and the bars were made of fear. Why did love feel like a crime? If they ever find out, everything will end, she thought, pulling her blanket closer as if it could hide her heart. She noticed the tension growing in her. He asked why she always looked over her shoulder, why she never stayed, why she flinched at simple things. Bella tried to explain, but words failed her. How do you describe a prison when you've never known freedom? I just can't, she would whisper, and he would nod even when he didn't understand. Her feelings deepened quietly, dangerously. Love was no longer just comfort. It became a longing, a desire to be close, to be normal, to exist outside the rules for just a moment. The more her parents tightened their control, the more her heart searched for an escape. She was torn between obedience and desire, between fear and hope. The cage that had once defined her life now felt unbearable. And somewhere inside her, a dangerous thought began to grow. Love didn't want to stay hidden anymore. The idea came in a whisper, the kind of whisper that changes lives. They were sitting in the library, far from curious eyes, when Chi leaned closer than usual. His voice was barely louder than a breath. I've been thinking, he said, scanning the room. Bella's heart began to race. Thinking often led to trouble. I can come to your house, he continued, then paused. But not as myself. Bella frowned, confused. What do you mean? He hesitated, then said the unthinkable. I'll come dressed as a girl. Your parents won't suspect anything. For a moment the world froze. Bella stared at him, certain she had heard wrong. A laugh almost escaped her, nervous and disbelieving. But Chi wasn't smiling. His eyes were serious, hopeful, desperate. The idea was dangerous, insane, completely against everything she had been taught. And yet, something inside her stirred. Was it fear or freedom knocking softly for the first time? Her parents trusted routines more than people. A quiet female friend would never raise suspicion. Bella knew this. She also knew what it meant if they were caught. Shame, anger, punishment, the end of everything. This is wrong, her mind warned her. But what if this is my only chance? Her heart replied. She swallowed and nodded before fear could stop her. Okay, she whispered. We'll be careful. The days that followed felt unreal. Chi learned to soften his voice, to walk gently, to move his hands carefully. Bella helped him practice, her hands shaking as she adjusted a wig, as she handed him clothes that didn't belong to him. Each rehearsal felt like stepping closer to a cliff. When the day finally came, Bella's heart pounded so loudly she was sure her parents could hear it. She opened the door to her home and introduced him as a quiet friend from school. Her mother smiled kindly, pleased by the politeness, by the calm. Her father barely looked up. The walls did not speak. The rules did not move. And no one suspected a thing. Inside Bella's room, time felt different. They whispered, laughed softly, shared stories they had never dared to speak aloud. For the first time, Bella felt normal, like a girl, not a prisoner. Her room, once a place of silence, became a small world of warmth and stolen joy. Every visit was thrilling. Every knock on the door froze her blood. A single mistake could destroy everything. Yet the risk made the moments sweeter, more intense. They were free right inside the cage. Bella knew they were playing with fire. She knew secrets always grow heavier with time. But she ignored the quiet warning in her chest. Because for once, happiness had found her. And she wasn't ready to let it go. The secret no longer lived quietly. It was growing inside her life, inside her body, inside her breath. Bella and Chi's hidden world deepened with every stolen moment. What began as whispered conversations turned into closeness, and closeness into something neither of them fully understood. In Bella's room, behind a locked door and drawn curtains, she felt alive in a way she never had before. Laughter came easily now. Smiles stayed longer. For the first time, happiness felt real. But happiness has a way of asking for a price. Bella began to feel different. First, it was just tiredness. She told herself it was school stress. Then came the dizziness, the sudden nausea in the mornings. The way food she once loved now made her stomach turn. She ignored it all, forcing a smile whenever her mother asked, "Are you okay?" "Yes, Ma," she would reply quickly, afraid of questions. Each warning sign was pushed aside, buried under the joy she was afraid to lose. She noticed her weakness and asked if she was unwell. Bella brushed it off, holding tighter to the moments they shared. She didn't want reality to interrupt the only freedom she had ever known. How could something that felt so beautiful be dangerous? At night, when the house was quiet, Bella lay awake with her hands resting on her chest, her heart racing without reason. A strange fear crept into her thoughts, but she pushed it away. "Please don't let this end," she prayed silently, not knowing what she was truly asking for. The secret began to weigh on her, not just emotionally but physically. Her steps slowed. Her face grew pale. Her mother watched her closely now, concern replacing routine. Bella noticed the looks, the pauses, the way silence stretched longer than usual at home. Yet she said nothing, because telling the truth would mean losing everything. Chi continued to visit, unaware of how close they were to the edge. Their whispers grew quieter, their laughter softer, as if the walls themselves were listening. Bella clung to him like someone holding onto light in a dark room, afraid that once it was gone, she would be alone again. But secrets are not meant to be carried forever. Each day, the weight grew heavier. Each smile became harder to maintain. Bella's body was speaking, even if her mouth refused to. Consequences were already unfolding, quietly, patiently, waiting for the moment they could no longer be ignored. And soon, the truth would no longer stay hidden. Bella had never felt fear like this before. It started as a routine hospital visit, or so she told herself. She had been feeling weak, tired, and dizzy for days. Her mother insisted she be examined, thinking it might be malaria or something simple, nothing serious. Bella nodded silently, hiding the panic twisting inside her chest. What if they find out what I'm really hiding? She thought, gripping the hospital gown as though it could shield her from the truth. The waiting room was quiet, almost oppressively so. The soft hum of fluorescent lights filled the space, broken only by the occasional cough or shuffle of feet. Bella sat stiffly beside her mother, pretending to read a magazine she barely looked at. Each passing minute stretched longer than the last, the tension in her chest growing unbearable. Finally, the doctor entered. His expression was neutral, professional, yet the words that followed broke through the calm like lightning. "Bella, you're pregnant." Time froze. Her mother's hand flew to her mouth. Her eyes widened, disbelief written across every line of her face. Bella felt her father's face turn pale, his jaw tightening, fists clenching as if the world had punched him square in the chest. The room grew unbearably silent, the only sound the shallow, shocked breathing of her parents. Bella wanted to explain, to say it was not what it seemed, that she didn't know what to do, but the words lodged in her throat. She felt trapped in the echo of her parents' disappointment, their control unraveling with every heartbeat. How could this happen under their watch? Her father's voice, normally calm and commanding, trembled. How could you let this happen?" Every syllable hit Bella like a weight she couldn't lift. Her mother's eyes searched her face, desperately seeking answers she didn't have. They had built rules, schedules, and walls to protect her. And yet, their perfect world had collapsed in an instant. Bella wanted to scream, to run, to vanish, but she couldn't. The truth was bare, exposed, and undeniable. The secret she had carried, the stolen moments of happiness with Chi, now stood as a revelation that would change everything. In that room, she realized control was an illusion. No amount of rules, no amount of vigilance, could dictate the choices of a heart longing for connection. The cage her parents had built had not protected her. It had only pushed her into secrecy, into risk, into a life-changing mistake. And in that silence, Bella understood something vital. Even the strongest walls can be broken from the inside. The weight of their shock, anger, and disbelief pressed down on her. But a small part of her also felt clarity. The world she had known, carefully measured and controlled, no longer existed. Now she had to face reality, the consequences, the responsibility, and the truth of her own choices. Bella sat quietly in her room, the sunlight falling gently across the floor, and thought about everything that had happened. The laughter, the stolen moments with Chi, the fear, the hospital, the shock in her parents' eyes. It all felt like a lifetime compressed into months. Her parents had tried to protect her. Every rule, every schedule, every glance was meant to keep danger away. And yet, in their attempt to control, they had done the opposite. Their walls had not kept her safe. They had pushed her into secrecy, into choices made behind closed doors, into risks that could never have happened if she had been trusted instead of confined. How could love feel so forbidden when it is meant to be natural? Bella thought of the years she had lived carefully, quietly, always measured, always obeying. She had been polite, obedient, perfect in every outward way, but inside, she had felt small, silenced, trapped. The world outside school had seemed a place of shadows and threats, until she discovered that freedom was not as dangerous as she had been told. If only they had listened, really listened, she thought, maybe none of this would have happened. Her parents' faces, once calm and proud, now carried a weight of regret she could see even in their silence. They had built a life of fear, believing it was love, and now they were learning that love without trust is not protection. It is a cage. Bella realized something else. The lessons her parents tried to teach her, obedience, discipline, caution, were not wrong on their own. What went wrong was the absence of trust, of conversation, of space to make mistakes and learn from them. Control had overshadowed guidance. Rules had replaced dialogue. And the result had been exactly what they feared most. A life lived in secrecy, heartbeats stolen, decisions hidden, and consequences unavoidable. She thought of Chi, of the happiness he had given her, and the danger she had unknowingly courted. It had been beautiful, yes, but it had also been a mirror showing her how fragile her own life had been under control too strict to call love. The sun shifted across her room as Bella exhaled deeply, the weight on her chest lifting slightly. She understood that protection meant more than rules. It meant listening. It meant trust. It meant giving a child space to live and make choices, even imperfect ones, without fear of punishment or judgment. In that quiet, reflective moment, Bella felt something shift inside her. Not freedom completely, not safety fully, but clarity. She knew what she had learned, and she hoped that others might too. That walls built from fear can never replace guidance built from love.